Welcome everyone to today's session. As we all know, winter as itself is brutal, and we need to know how to keep safe and well during the winter. For this particular year, we have COVID-19 now in the mix, so which actually make this winter even one that we need to be extra careful in how we take in how we take care of ourselves. I would like to use this opportunity to welcome Dr. Melanie Kirby from the Hospital for Sick Children. We all know her. She's been taking care of our children for many years. She's also a board member on the board of Sickle Cell Awareness Group of Ontario, and she'll be speaking with us today, advising us on how to ensure that we are safe and well during this winter. As you know, she's a nematologist with lots of experience, and I'm sure everyone wants to hear from her today. In the same token, we have Dr. Ashley Dangikan also on the line. She is a clinical psychologist, and she will also be helping us in ensuring that we keep our mind and body safe and well. So without taking much more of your time, I'd like Dr. Kirby to start her presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to be able to present to you today and hopefully give you something that you can use going forward to keep mind and body healthy. So, okay, let's figure out how to move forward. Okay. So this is a different year, a year with a difference. In early March, we started being shut down with the COVID pandemic. Since then, people are working from home. Many have lost jobs. Schools are in person and virtual format currently with a threat for shutdown. Our numbers are going up. All of our social activities are being curtailed, and winter is coming. So when everyone is asking, when is this pandemic going to stop and life get back to normal? Not for some time. So in going forward, not only do we have to worry about usual things with winter, but also a pandemic in the mix. In May, we also were faced with a different kind of unexpected level of sadness and stress. In May, we watched Mr. Floyd being killed. That led to a lot of anger, sadness, not again, many emotions. And that led to fear for our men, our women, and most of all, our children. There were more deaths at the hands of the law in the coming weeks, both in the US and in Canada. And we watched all of this played out on camera, including protests from the US, Canada, and around the world. This week, our Canadians with ties to Nigeria also are hurting after violence against peaceful protesters. Our emotions and how this has affected us all we can all have different emotions, and we all can express our emotions. Hopefully, we are able to express our emotions in a healthy way. And the one word I can think of to express my emotions at that time with pandemic on and all of these other things happening there was a feeling of heaviness, sadness, anger, many emotions, and we all express different emotions. So how can we take care of ourselves, both with those of us with sickle cell disease and those of us who don't have sickle cell disease in terms of taking care of our body? So there are not a lot of things we can do to control totally everything that's going on around us, but what we can do is take care of ourselves with what we can control, and this is what we control. Yeah. We can take our medication, our hydroxyurea. If some of you might be on glutamine and other medications, those medications we take and take them regularly in the correct dose, and we follow through on the monitoring. We're using blood tests as we usually do our blood counts to monitor for hydroxyurea particularly. We do this every day because we know that hydroxyurea will keep us well all the time, including going through the winter months. Follow up with in-person or virtual clinic appointments. We do have most of our physicians are doing a mixture of in-person and virtual appointments, and we should keep those appointments going forward through the winter and for the coming months. Keep in touch with your primary care team if you are concerned about any symptoms, and don't be afraid to go to the emergency department even though there's a COVID pandemic on. A lot of people are staying away from hospitals, and I totally understand that, but hospitals have protocols for keeping people safe. We work in a hospital, and we all have to be kept safe also. It's actually, there's more control. I feel for me going to work, there's more control going to work than when I go to the supermarket, because I know what things are put in place. If a patient has fever, please don't stay home. You not only have to worry about people worry, is this COVID, but also remember with our patients with sickle cell disease, they have to be concerned about encapsulated bacteria like pneumococcus, meningococcus, etc. And so don't be afraid. Fever can be a sign of a significant infection with potentially lethal infection. So don't be afraid to go to emergency. Do not stay at home and give yourself Tylenol repeatedly, or give your children Tylenol and be afraid to go to the hospital. Remember also, for our children are growing. So as you put on weight, you outgrow your current dose of medication. So we need to increase the dosage as you go forward. So keep those clinic appointments, because that's the way that you get a weight done every time you come, and we adjust the dose based on what weight the child is at any one time. Especially going through puberty, you can rapidly put on weight and need an adjustment of your dosage. So in taking care of yourself, follow through on all your medications, your appointments. You know, this is a very stressful time. So for example, some of our parents of teenage children have given the children the responsibility, and even our spouses on medications, we've always had the responsibility of taking charge of their own medications. Life is very different now. People are not in school fully. People are working from home, some working out, and the stress of going out to work and public transport, etc. So cut each other some slack, and parents help remind your children and help give it to them, because this is not a normal time. Put alarms on your phones with a reminder. Use pillboxes. Make extras on a calendar when you've taken your medicine, and help each other to remember. Cut each other some slack. Although kids are growing up and need to be responsible for their own medication, the teenagers, for example, just cut each person some slack so that they can get some help. The other thing that's very important in this time is vaccinations, especially the flu shot. So get the shot, not the flu. Right now, flu shots are being are out there in the pharmacies. You have to make an appointment through doctors' offices and pharmacies. In the hospitals, we are giving flu shots to patients as they come in. Once they agree to have the shot done, we will order it, and they will get done on this with the clinic visit. So don't forget, the last thing we want is having an outbreak of flu at a time when we have a pandemic outbreak. That would just overwhelm the healthcare system, and we'll all be in trouble. In addition to the medical aspects of taking care of yourself, hydration is very important, as you know, for preventing, keeping people healthy with sickle cell disease. When we wear masks every day at work, I know personally, I forget to drink, because you have to take the mask off and drink water, put the mask back on safely. And we tend to forget to drink. Hydration going. Eat healthy foods, eat healthy, don't miss meals. And most of all, with this weather, is to get dressed in warm layers. Layers you can, you might leave home one morning, like yesterday morning, we left home, it was fairly mild, and in the end of the day, it was very hot. Because you look at the weather report and you know it was getting up to 22 degrees, you may have been tempted to leave home with lighter clothes. But remember, it's not getting warm until later. And so dress in layers you can always take off and put back on. And then going forward, once the sun goes down, it gets even colder in the evening. So dress prepared with, you can carry your jacket over your arm if you don't want to get dressed up when you're leaving home, but dress in layers with extra stuff. Remember, the place where you lose most heat from is your ears, your fingers and your toes. So a warm scarf to keep you around your neck warm, a beanie or a hat, and gloves and socks with boots. Wool socks, if you can get them, are the best because they help your feet to breathe. And if you sweat, it moves the sweat away from your feet, so you don't get cold in your feet. So again, in terms of what you drink, use the Canada Food Guide recommends that you drink water as your main source of liquid. And yeah. So again, taking care of yourself going through winter, we have the coronavirus to worry about. So it's airborne transmission. Keep your mask on when in a closed environment where distancing is not possible, and distance up to 2 meters or 6 feet. Just a word about in a bubble. This little cartoon here will explains a little bit about a bubble, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about bubbles. Our families, so our family, we can maintain a bubble within our family or with an extended family where everybody has the same mindset to keep safe and to keep each other safe. What often happens is that people think that their bubble includes a wider, once your family, that's your bubble. Remember, you might have a family of 5. Your in-laws have another family of 5 or 6, and unless and you have other cousins in the community, everybody has exposures, their own exposures, so it doesn't create a having everybody together is increased risk of somebody bringing coronavirus into contact with you. So what I'm saying is, keeping your bubble is not, your bubble doesn't include the whole extended family. So Christmas is coming up, and we've had Thanksgiving. There was a spike after Thanksgiving, and that's because people let their guard down. Because you're related doesn't mean that creates your bubble. And then everybody within your bubble has to be recognized that we have vulnerable people with sickle cell disease, and we want to protect them. Again, we've heard a lot of this. Hand hygiene is important. Although airborne, you can, if someone has coronavirus and they are coughing, it can go on things around, and then other people can come along and touch. So hand washing, either with sanitizer or with soap and water. And this picture shows you what 6 feet looks like. It's really quite a distance. So if you want to be without a mask. So these events of this year have left us isolated. We've lost social contact, we're less active, and when you're less active, you get more tired. Some of us have gained weight, and some have lost weight if they have gone off eating. Sadness, anxiety, and stress. We have grief for loss of life we had before the pandemic. We also have grief for actual loss of life from family and friends who passed because of COVID. And for a lot of those families, people have not been able to mourn with the family by actually attending funerals. I noticed I attended an online funeral recently, and that's been streaming funerals, and you still feel like you're part of the celebration of life, but it's not quite the same. And behind all of this, we all have a fear of getting COVID. We also getting COVID fatigue. just getting tired of all of these restrictions that we're on. And what that is doing, particularly for young people, is getting young people saying, I'm tired of this, I'm going to go out and do usual activities. And then they get infected. They may not get as sick as other people, but then they bring it home to people who are vulnerable, who could get really quite sick. And going into the colder months now, this is going to bring us indoors more than ever before. Summer was lovely in that we could actually go outside for more, but the colder months we're going to be indoors. All of these emotional and mental health issues can lead to complications related to our underlying sickle cell disease and lead to vaso-occlusive episodes, for example. So how can we cope? It has been shown very clearly that 30 minutes of exercise a day can boost energy, improve muscle strength, improves your mood for sure, promotes better sleep, and it will control your weight. So I put a few pictures of things that we can do. We don't have to go to a fancy gym to exercise. We can exercise in our own homes. This is what I do. This lady down here, you're doing your housework, I put on music and I dance. And that gives you exercise, it boosts your mood, mood lifts, and you get your work done, but you have a little fun. Skipping is cheap. A skipping rope, you can skip anywhere, and you don't need any more equipment other than a skipping rope. Until we can still go outside and walk with the family, but dress properly, of course. And yoga is another thing we can do at home quietly. You can go online and look at yoga videos of how to do it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to dress up in the fancy, proper yoga clothes and all that. Just do it at home, just in your sweats. The picture below is what I do. Go for a walk. I try to get outside and walking at a distance. I try to avoid people who are riding bikes too close to me because they're exhaling. But if you have a bike, it's really good exercise. Get outside. The other thing you could do is an idea is to start a Zoom online exercise group or a walking group and include your families in this. You don't have to get out to a gym, but you can have several families on Zoom doing yoga or exercising. Sleep is very important. Keep a schedule, even if you're working from home. So working from home, it's easy, very easy to sleep late, get up at late in the evening, and then you have work to do. You have both your work, which some of you are doing online, and also housework, etc. Keep a schedule. Keep a schedule as though you were going out to work. When you're intending to go to sleep, it's very clear that now I see this with our teenagers as coming to us, my own household of young adults. When people are going to sleep, they sleep with their computer, their phone, everything on the bed with them. The recommendation, if you're intended to sleep, whatever time you intend to sleep, you turn off everything an hour before and let your brain settle down. Have a bit of a routine, which would be helpful. Do whatever makes you feel good. Just calm you down, a bath, pamper yourself a little, meditation, prayer. We'll do some meditation later so you can to learn how to do it. I actually saw this picture here in the corner is a bed for your phone. That's going a little bit far. You can buy these beds for your phone on Amazon and other places. I'm not suggesting you do that. I leave my phone downstairs on the kitchen table when I'm upstairs sleeping. The other thing that I've recognized is avoid watching any movie or documentary that is scary or upsetting just before bed. People are reporting very vivid nightmares during this time of the pandemic. And avoid watching something that's going to upset you just before bed, because it's harder to go to sleep. You don't want something heavy on your mind. The reason I put these little penguins here is that I find that when I want to calm my mind and calm myself, I watch either on Netflix or on the television nature videos, nature movies or documentaries, and I find it very calming, just rather than something that's going to excite your mind. And we should all aim for about 7 or 8 hours of sleep a night. I know that's hard sometimes, but that's what we should try to aim for. We are physically away from friends, but we have devices to socialize with friends. So we can FaceTime, video chat, reach out to people that are living alone. That makes you feel good. When you reach out to somebody, it makes you feel well, and you also are doing making somebody else feel well. Go for a walk with a friend and chit chat. And this was me and a friend. That's not a picture of me, but what we did, we would go to a park. We would take our own snacks, and we would sit and physical distance and chat, eat our own picnics. You can still socialize even though you're doing it safely. Other thing that makes us feel good is when we do something for somebody else. We live in a society where we sort of put our head down, we walk to work, and we get on the elevator. We don't say anything to anybody. We just go up on our elevator on our own. It actually makes you feel good if you say, "Good morning, how are you doing today?" And you'd be shocked at how many people respond to that, because people just want connection, and that makes you feel good. It makes them feel good. If you're feeling down, reach out to your social worker, a family member, to SCAGO's support service, your doctors, your nurses. There's some online counseling services that you can reach out to. And we have this at the end of the talk. Do not isolate yourself totally. So you might wonder, why did I put, we can cope with gratitude? Gratitude is a positive emotional state in which one recognizes and appreciates what one has received. So it allows you to celebrate the present, even though it's a tough time. We can be grateful for what we have.
Yayo, gratitude. When you're about gratitude, allows celebration of.
Grateful people are more stress resilient. It avoids toxic emotions like envy, regret, resentment, and depression. And people who are grateful forgive themselves more, and more forgiving, and give of themselves more. See life as a gift and not a burden. So the reason I put this little bird here is because there's a little bird that comes in on my back door all through the summer, and he's still out there every day. And I'm just, it sounds kind of silly. I'm just so grateful that we have wildlife that I can look at, and it just brings a smile to me and makes me happy. When we are grateful, when we're feeling down, look and see, what do we have to be grateful for? Not everybody has everything, but we have life, we have family, we have friends. What do we think about what we have to be grateful for, and you actually feel better about life and about yourself. And with the less activities outside, what can you do for yourself to make yourself feel better? You can learn a new language. Duolingo is an app online which it's free. You can learn any language from Duolingo. There are many online free courses. I put one at the bottom here, which is I would suggest everybody do. I actually am in the process of doing the homework for this, and it actually is a very, as you get further and further into the course, you recognize what it's doing for you. online books. They're free books with some online books that you can read. Read to your children. Involve your children with reading. It's good for them. They will learn new words, and it's good for both of you, reading to each other. Pick up a new activity like learning to paint or draw. So not long ago, I went on YouTube and I looked at a how to paint video, and I'm learning how to paint. There are lots of nature shows, like I said before, that you can learn about what's going on around the world and about animals and so on. And it's just I find it very calm. So do something new. I know it can be a busy household if you have little children, but take some time to do something new for yourself, but involve your children also. And they would be, it'll create an increased level of happiness. So I'll let Ashley take over here now.
Oh, great. Thank you, Dr. Kirby. It's wonderful to kind of take stock of the year, but also try to remind ourselves and each other that platforms like this are a really excellent way to connect to other people and to also learn new ways of coping through a very difficult time. And today I'll be speaking to all of you about mindfulness meditation and relaxation. So this has been something that has been floating around through social media, through, maybe your teachers, maybe your medical team. Lots of people in providing mental health services will talk about this. And I'd like to encourage you to, keep an open mind and even try some mindfulness meditation with me later in the session as well. So mindfulness meditation is the practice of intentionally turning your attention away from distracting thoughts towards a single point of reference. So oftentimes this can be just the feeling and sensation of your breath, the sensations you might feel in your body, feelings of compassion, or a specific thought or like motivational saying that you really enjoy. And another really important part about mindfulness is a big intention is to teach gratitude and self-compassion, and to try to avoid being judgmental towards yourself, right? Meditation and mindfulness is about being very kind to yourself, which I think during a year like this is especially important. And mindfulness and meditation and relaxation have been shown to have a lot of very positive effects on mind, body, and overall health. So there's work reporting that people have increased concentration and focus with increased practice with mindfulness, as well as more positive mood, feelings of decreased stress, more feelings of social connection is a really big one. I think we all have the experience of being with someone who we might be talking to them and they might be directly in front of us, but we know they're thinking about something else or they seem very distracted. A big part about mindfulness is to be in the present and take notice of the things that you're thinking about and gently directing your attention back to the present moment and the present experience. And it's a really wonderful thing to be with someone, whether it's over Zoom or in a socially distanced way, and to know that they are fully there with you. Mindfulness and meditation can also lead to better sleep hygiene and more feelings of relaxed sleep, as well as lower blood pressure and reduced pain. A lot of times relaxation strategies are used as part of a pain management strategy, in addition to other medical or other more pharmacological strategies. Thank you. Next slide, please. So something I would really like to encourage everyone to think about are little ways that we can be mindful every day. So in a few minutes, I'll be doing a practice mindfulness meditation with you, a more formal kind of traditional way that people think of when they think of mindfulness meditation. But there are many ways to be mindful. And the quote I have here, I really like, and I would actually really like to put it in my office. It's wherever you are, be all there. I think it's so easy for us when we have our phones, our computers, when we have the pressure to multitask and do, many things at the same time because we might be pressed for time or we might be rushing. But I think for people to really excel and for people to feel proud, even to feel relaxed, I think realistically, we can only do one thing well at a time. And whether we're with other people or whether we're trying to do homework or study or learn a new skill or just relax, I think it's really important to remind ourselves that we can only do our best when we direct all of our attention towards something, and we can only feel connected with other people when we direct our attention and our energy towards them. So these are some examples of ways that we can encourage mindfulness in our everyday life. And something I've really noticed, especially with pandemic restrictions, is that something we're doing a lot of these days is waiting in some kind of line. There's going to be a line to, get into the classroom or get into the elevators because there are often limits on elevator capacity. We might be, waiting for to get into a grocery store because there's capacity limits there. So something that we can all do is practice mindfulness while we're waiting. So we might, instead of easily becoming impatient or irritated, is just pay attention to what's going on around you. Pay attention to the flow of your breath in and out of your body and letting the moment just be what it is, right? I think we're all struggling with the way that things are going and they're not the same as they used to be. But I think part of mindfulness is accepting the moment as it is and letting it pass, because all moments, whether they're very, very negative or whether they're irritating or whether we're getting impatient, it will pass, and just reminding ourselves of that. We can also practice mindfulness during very routine activities. So whether it's brushing your teeth, just not rushing and just noticing even the way that the toothbrush is feeling in your mouth, and noticing, feeling more relaxed and feeling more clean. And putting on hand sanitizer is actually one that I try to do as much as possible. And it's one that healthcare practitioners have been, I think, been encouraged to do for a long time because we do so much of it. But even the sensation of having the hand sanitizer, moving it around our hands, taking that 10 seconds to focus on that before we move on to the next activity is also a really brief way to practice mindfulness in our everyday life. And it's okay to keep it short. I think there's also this misconception that meditation or mindfulness only has an effect if we can sit and do it for 20 minutes or sit and relax for an entire yoga session, and that's just not true. There's studies showing that just short bursts of mindfulness practice in everyday life can also show really important positive effects. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is a little guide on how to meditate. So this is just an introduction to the practice that we'll all do together shortly, but the elements are actually quite easy. So again, please don't be intimidated by meditation. The important things are that you feel comfortable. So most people feel comfortable sitting, but there are also walking meditations that are possible. If you would rather lie on your bed, that's also okay. Focusing on your breath. So, breath, and I think is also a really important anchoring way for us to feel connected to our body. I think that with this year, it's very easy to feel very disconnected to our body and disconnected with our experience. So focusing on your breath is really important. Taking notice when you're lost in thought, and it's okay if you become distracted. Gently guide yourself back to the present moment. And finally, treat yourself kindly, right? We're all going through many factors that are, and experiencing many things that are making this year quite stressful. So the fact that you're all here today and we're all trying to learn how to take care of ourselves is a really great thing that you're doing for yourself today. And next slide, please. Okay, so I'd like to invite you to engage in a practice mindfulness meditation with me. For this particular one, it's using guided imagery. So there's lots of different mindfulness meditation practices that you can practice with. And there are ones that, you know, focus on feelings of kindness or thoughts about being kind for yourself. For this one, I find that it's really helpful for people who are getting started in mindfulness practice and teens, because it's really trying to help you focus on a particular image, whether it's one that's in front of you or one that brings you a lot of comfort in your mind. So I'd like to invite you to get comfortable. So whether you're sitting, whether you're standing, whether you're lying down, the important part is that you are doing what is right for you right now. You may wish to focus on the picture on the screen, or close your eyes completely and just let yourself think of a relaxing image, or just lower your gaze. So from your head to your toes, I'd like you to start to relax each part of your body. Take notice of the parts that might feel more tense, and take extra care to let that tension go. And let's start out today with just a few deep breaths. Together, let's take a big inhale through the nose. Hold for a moment, feeling all the air fill in the belly. And let's breathe out slowly through the mouth, feeling all the air release. Let's try that again. Another deep breath in through the nose. Hold and breathe out through the mouth. Let's keep going with a deep breath in and hold and breathe out through the mouth. Okay, start to feel all the tiredness and stress and tension make its way out of your body, and just let your body settle in. Find that place of stillness. And whether you're looking on the screen or imagining in your mind, I'd like you to direct your focus to that of a tall, majestic mountain. Imagine a mountain that reaches high up into the sky, so high that it touches the clouds. And then feel your body as if it were this mountain, majestic, serene, and yet grounded, stable. Take notice of all the places where your body touches the chair, your mattress, the ground, wherever you might be. But take notice of all the places where your body touches the place beneath you, and feel that as the base of this mountain. Feel yourself being rooted into the earth. With each breath in, feel your belly rise as you see the rising of this mountain go into the sky. And with each breath out, feel your belly fall. There might be strong winds. There might be thunderstorms and lightning, rain. But even amidst all of this chaos and the stress, your mountain is strong, unmovable. Feel that sense of depth and support, stability. Feel the heaviness and the pull of gravity and how strong your body is, just like that tall, majestic mountain. Imagine wind flying through and connecting it to the rhythm of your breath, a gentle, strong wind. Imagine the trees moving also through the wind. Feel your body rooting to the ground, your connection with the earth, and no matter what comes, Your mountain stands strong, and nothing can disturb your peace. And as you're ready, open your eyes if they were closed, and we can reconnect on this session. So that is something that I find can be really helpful before bed, even as you wake up. I think, mindfulness meditation is one of those things that is really flexible in terms of how you can use it. But the intention is that you're kind to your body, that you're taking notice of your body, and that you have control over things like your breath and your stress and how you can feel in that moment. So I thank you for practicing that with me. Next slide, please. So Dr. Kirby informed us earlier about ways that we can cope, right? There are lots of ways to connect with others safely, either, through a more distanced in-person gathering, or through a platform like Zoom or FaceTime or whatever other platform you use with your phone. There's connecting with your medical team, of course, and with your support system. But something that I try to remind myself of is what I call like these COVID silver linings, is that mental health support has become a lot more accessible in the past few months because of pandemic restrictions. And I think previously, I've talked to a lot of teens who have felt reluctant about seeking in-person mental health support, but now there's a lot of ways to seek online counseling. And I'll share a few of those resources with you now, because I think it is so important that we use the resources that we have available, and all of these are free. And I would really encourage people to use the things that social services and our government and other agencies are providing to develop resilience in people, because it's just such a challenging year, and it's very normal to feel as though you just want to talk. So What's Up Walk-in Clinic used to be, well, it still is, but temporarily shut down its in-person walk-in counseling services. But now you can connect by phone or through video conference to a counselor. So I've left the phone number and the online link for you on the screen. Bounce Back Ontario is a mental health coaching service. So it's a little bit different from counseling in that it's self-paced, and you can, touch base with your counselor when you want. It provides you with some materials to work on just as you're ready and as you're available. And the link I've also left for you there. And Wellness and Support for Youth Online is also an option, provides service to all youth in Ontario. And I'm just going to check the chat briefly because, okay, so there is some question about a specific region that these mental health resources serve. So I know that Wellness and Support for Youth Online is for all youth in Ontario. Bounce Back Ontario is, again, serving Ontario youth. What's Up Walk-in Clinic, when it was providing in-person services, was only for Toronto, but I'm actually not sure about what their service region is currently, just because things are remote. So I wouldn't hesitate to just call to find out. But if there are any regional restrictions in terms of just GTA, I would reach out to Wellness and Support for Youth Online. The other resource is Kids Help Phone. So I know that they provide support either through text even, as well as by phone. So I would also consider Kids Help Phone as well. And I know that we wanted to leave some time for questions, or I'm not sure if Dr. Kirby had anything to add as well.
We can open up for questions.
Perfect.
I'll leave these up so that people can write them down for a bit.
I'd like to thank Dr. Kirby again, and also Dr. Dangikan for this session. I think for myself, I really enjoy that piece of breathing in and breathing out. I think it's really good. It's calming. People that know me, I'm always multitasking. So then you can, thank you for bringing that to perspective, that sometimes you just need to focus on one thing and don't try to do 5 things at the same time, right? If your phone is now muted, can you please mute your phone? Thank you, everyone. Let's keep our phone muted. Thank you. And I think those resources shared are also very, very helpful. I also want to add that from Skego, if you're not receiving our newsletter, it's good to be part of the community. If you like to, you can subscribe online. I put the website on the chat forum if you would like to receive that. I'm seeing on the chat box, someone is asking if there is an age limit to the counseling and mental health support. Is there an age limit, Dr. Dangikan?
It's a good question. I know that What's Up Walking Clinic goes up to young adulthood. And I think many of these resources will, like I can't, even if they would advise going somewhere else, they'll definitely give you another resource. But if we're thinking about young adults, generally that goes up to about 25. 23 to 25 is what most agencies would consider young adulthood. Something that I haven't looked into formally, just because I'm not as connected with this, is if you have students in university or in college, I would still inquire about counseling centers that are university based, because I imagine that online supports would be available through that avenue as well, if you're concerned about an age limit.
Thank you, Dr. Gangikan. Another thing I also want to mention is that with the COVID-19, we know that it's difficult for most people to deal with COVID-19, and let alone if you already have underlying health condition like sickle cell disease. One of the ways that SCAGO is trying to help the families is to provide what we call the COVID-19 grant, to help you stay connected with other people. So we have funding for electronic device. If you don't have one that works well, we also have funding to support your supplement, support your medication, support your food, and so on and so forth. It's a one-time grant though, but you can apply online. I just want to throw that in there. I know some of the folks on the line already have applied, but those who may need it, if you live in Ontario, anywhere in Ontario, because our mandate is Ontario-wide, you can definitely tap into these resources. There are so many resources that you can tap into. And I think also many of us may have questions in respect to the links that are shared by Dr. Dangikan. If you call the line or you research it further, you should be able to get answers to your questions, so they could point you to other resources, as Dr. Dangikan mentioned. I'm looking at another question here. Someone is saying that with kids being more indoor, they're wondering how they can still allow for outdoor time during the winter months. For example, colder days, can they briefly go out if they are well bundled, regardless of the temperature, -5 temperature recommendation? Dr. Kirby.
Can you hear me? Am I? Yeah.
Yes.
So the key is dressing warmly. So I would say if the temperature is lower than even -10, that you probably want to not go outside on those very cold days. But in the beginning, when it's around 0, even not just below 0 or above 0, just very warmly dressed, and for half an hour running around. And when kids are fully dressed in their snowsuits for the little ones or jackets, when they are outside actively running around, they actually sweat on the inside. Their body warms up. So it's safe to do that for a limited time, but you must remember that, make sure that their fingers and toes are quite warm, because that's where they lose a lot of heat, and avoid them getting in a sickle cell crisis.
Thank you, Dr. Kirby.
If I could also make another comment is that some people may have lost private insurance over the COVID period of time, but remember, for all children, young people less than 25 years of age, on formulary drugs like hydroxyurea, if you've lost your job, so you don't have coverage, when you take your prescription to the pharmacy, tell them you want to use OHIP plus. So up until everybody under 25 shouldn't be paying out of pocket for hydroxyurea that's prescribed for you.
Thank you, Dr. Kirby. And also, I know that there's also the CRB support that the government is also giving in terms of money for the families that may need it as well. So there are resources to support us and reduce stress during this COVID-19 period. I don't see any more questions on the chat box. If anyone has any other questions for either Dr. Kirby or Dr. Dandikan, please type them in so we can address them.
Or they can ask it also if they don't want to type.
Yes, you can unmute and ask your question also if you like to do that. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Kirby.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry, just to clarify my question about the temperature.
Sorry, who is speaking?
Oh, it's Listra.
Okay, Listra.
Hi.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to clarify that piece that you mentioned. So you said around or below -10 would still be okay briefly, or no?
No, not below -10. Above, warmer.
Yeah, sorry, warmer.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I meant warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even -5. The key thing is to have the kids really well dressed with good layers and a good snowsuit, and gloves, not little woolly gloves which will get wet, but really protective gloves that the little hands are not cold.
Yeah, like waterproof gloves and
waterproof gloves, and for a short period of time, for like half an hour, running around, active running around, not a long period of time.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. Just like 5-10 minutes, get them out, fresh air. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's important for them, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you, Listra. I hope that is clear to everyone. We have another question here about healthy food, Dr. Kirby. This individual mentioned that you had spoken about healthy food. They also want to know about, tisanes and tea with citrus. Would you recommend them drink tea with citrus?
Any liquid. Just remember, if depends on what you call tea. So tea like green tea or not herbal tea. So talking about green tea or black tea, remember that can also increase your urine output. So you don't want to be drinking, if you have sickle cell disease, you don't want to be drinking too much tea or coffee because you dehydrate yourself. So some herbal tea. I drink a lot of herbal tea just to hydrate. Herbal tea is fine. And if it has citrus, wonderful. That's okay.
Thank you, Dr. Kirby. Well, we want to thank everyone again for calling in and being part of our webinar today. Again, we want to thank Dr. Kirby for her time. Every time we call upon her, she's always ready. And Dr. Ashley Dangikan, thank you so much for all you've done. And I know you've been part of our presentations in the past. We thank you for being part of this one today as well. We want to encourage everyone to please keep warm, keep safe, and take into consideration and use all you have heard today. The recording of this webinar, if you want to come back to it, should be on the website in about 1 week. Give it a week from today, and you can also refer other people to watch it. Thank you again and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr.
Take
Kirby.
care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
As always, good info.
Thank you. Thank you.
Glad to hear.
That is
Thank you.
Marie. I know that. Thank you.
Thanks, Lanway.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Mom saying thanks.
Stay safe.